Hey guys, welcome back to Tech Rants. My name is Q, and I was gonna go live. I can't go live mobile yet because I don't have enough views and I don't have enough subscribers. Um, so therefore, I was gonna try to set one up on my laptop for the live stream, but I couldn't figure it out. It was pissing me off and it was frustrating me. So I said I would just make this vlog here. Um, Took my shower earlier and took a nap. Just woke up not too long ago, and yeah, I said I'd come out here and talk to y'all for a minute. Make this video. I was trying to figure out what I was going to talk about. Just something to get the content up, just for people to get a better feel for who I am. So. Tonight, I think I'm going to kind of talk about a little bit more about me and, my experience, background, and, kind of my tech history. So my tech, my history when it comes to the tech world and how I am where I'm at, and how I do what I do as as a blind man. So, first things first. I was born with degenerative glaucoma. Both of my parents, well, my mother, at least, she passed away when I was 2, and no one knew that something was wrong with me. And from what I get is when I wasn't walking by a certain age, and when I would go and I would crawl and shit like that, I would run into walls and shit like that. So no one knew exactly what to think of that. So my mother basically said she didn't want anything, and nobody didn't know anything until she passed away. So to the day she was buried. So on the day she was buried, I went to the hospital, and boom, that's when they figured out that that's what it was degenerative glaucoma. So yeah, there's that. So back during the time I was growing up, technology was starting to emerge. There were things out there that were accessible for the blind, but it wasn't as open and as readily available as it is today. So back then the blind had their own technology. Talking 10, 15, 20 years ago. Now, thank God, Microsoft has advanced. So when you talk computers, Microsoft has advanced with the narrator and shit. It's built into the operating system versus back then, when I was in school and when I was first starting out in the workforce, you had to pay an addition, unless you had a Mac, until the Mac did it back in 2005. I think a copy of what I used to use was called JAWS, which stands for Job Access with Speech. A copy of that today is $12.95. So I think it's $8.95 or $9.95 for regular, and $12.95 for professional. And it doesn't include updates and shit like that. That's an extra couple $100. So, if you were blind and you were in school, the school, if they wanted you to do the computers, or if you were out in the workforce, that was a lot of money that was spent just so you could be productive. So, and then there were equipment and shit that they had out there, and that was pretty much expensive, guys. That shit was not cheap. I remember I used a thing called a Braille note taker. It's called a Braille note. I've had a Classic and I've had an Empire, and those are about anywhere between $3,000 to $7,000. So, being blind was expensive back then. If you wanted access to the technology, you had to pay some money, or you had to find some resources for somebody to pay you some money. Nowadays, phones and computers and tablets and TVs and all this shit is just readily accessible for you. So, yeah, I started off using some of this technology, and then Blackberry. Remember the Blackberry? I had a Simian phone. Had a Simian phone when I was in middle school, and the Simian phone. Loud ass car. Get a fucking muffler, dumbass. Anyway, the Symbian phones, they were had the software that somebody had generously bought from me. It was about $400 back then. It was called Talks, and it made the phone almost accessible. The only thing that was not accessible was the Symbian store, where you can go get your ringtones and shit like that. But mainly, emails and text messaging, shit like that was accessible, and of course, and it wasn't really accessible when you were on a call. But of course, back then, back then those were the minute plans. Back then, you had maybe 400 texts, 400 minutes or something. What nights and weekends? We had 1,000 minutes, and then we had unlimited nights and weekends, and then we had unlimited text, shit like that. So get a fucking muffler, dummy. Anyway, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but that car out there is loud. So then one of the first jobs I got, actually, I remember when the iPhone came out, and it was okay. The iPhone was not accessible when it first was released, but the iPhone was probably the first smartphone to be inaccessible. I think it was the iPhone 3G or 3GS that things finally became fully accessible for the blind. So then I remember I worked for a company, and we sold Blackberry screen reading software, which again was between $300 to $500. But then again, that was kind of that loop where people were going more towards iPhone and Android, maybe even a Windows phone. It was still the rule of the Blackberry era, but Blackberry were starting to fade, completely out. So it was kind of that period where people were more staying towards iPhone and Android, and then, like I said, an occasional Windows phone. But now it's, of course, not everybody goes for iPhone and Android. Windows phones are pretty much dead. So yeah, the Blackberry, we sold the software. We didn't sell it too much, and eventually we just stopped selling it because it wasn't really readily available, and it was only available for certain models. So yeah, guys. So but I remember when it was the iPhone 3G, when that came out. About a couple software versions later, then they started putting VoiceOver, which is what Mac uses in their computers, to be accessible. Apple started making that available for the iPhone, the iPhones, and then when the iPad first launched, it was fully accessible. So then Android had realized that they needed to catch up. And I remember I've always, growing up, I always liked the challenges. I always liked to prove people wrong, and shit like that. That was my biggest thing. If you said I couldn't do it, I ended up doing it anyway. So I remember I went out and I got a Droid before they were as accessible as they are now. So when Android first was made accessible, what happened was, basically what the catch was, that you needed a phone with a keyboard or a trackpad. So I got a phone with a QWERTY keyboard, and I used the hell out of it, and it worked just fine. So now Droids are so accessible. Of course, now they don't have any keyboard phones, but Droids are so accessible now. You don't need any sort of keyboard or stylus or scroll wheel or shit like that. You just touch the screen like a normal fucking person. So mainly everything. I've had some technology training. I had some keyboard training, so I use a regular keyboard. My keyboard doesn't have Braille on it or anything like that. So a lot of the stuff that I learned about phones and computers was pretty much self-taught. I liked it a challenge. I liked learning new things. And, I've had jobs and shit where I could pretty much get my hands on anything that I could. And, I had that freedom. So I had time to play around and know what I liked and know what I didn't like. And I owned one Windows device. and that was it. And I had an iPhone 4S, and I liked it, but I sold it. I had some personal shit going on in my life, and I pretty much sold it, so I pretty much buy me a new one and switch carriers, and that's, you know, that was back when I switched to Family Mobile. So if we back up a little bit, I grew up in the time when cell phone plans, like I said, 450 minutes, nights and weekends started at 7, or it was 9 for us. And then, you know, I grew up in a kind of a era where kind of the touchscreen phones were cool a little bit, you know, if you could afford it, but mainly it was the Blackberries, a flip phone, or, you know, I remember the LG chocolates and shit like that. You know, now it's all about who has a better camera, whose network are you with, you know, all the fucking, you know, which phone is better for Snapchat and all that shit. So things have kind of changed a little bit, but yeah, but back when I first had a cell phone and shit, they were not really accessible. Like I said, besides the times that somebody bought the software for me, I pretty much just had a plain Jane flip phone.
Now, new from CV Tech, LG Fiesta 2 LTE, unboxing and first look, total wireless.
All right, that's from YouTube, guys. So since you just heard that, go and check out CV Tech, guys. RJ, he has some good content out there. Very good guy. So, yeah, that's the iPod giving that notification. Go ahead and check out CV Tech. Now that you heard the shit, I've got to give a shout out. anyway, CV Tech's a good guy, so check him out. I lost my fucking train of thought. Oh. So yeah, basically I just had a plain Jane phone, guys, and I wasn't much of a texter. But once I got into the smartphones, I became a texter and things like that. So most of my times, I have worked at a couple of stores. I worked for Cricket before they were before they were bought out by AT&T. I did some work for the Geek Squad. But most of the time, I spend my time being an assistive technology specialist. And for those that don't know what that is, that's basically what I do is I teach people and I evaluate people with disabilities, mainly blindness. I have done some deaf and stuff like that, but mainly I deal with people who are blind or vision impaired, and I do an evaluation and figure out what they can do as far as computer-wise, and what their strength and what their weaknesses is, and I take that evaluation and I make recommendations based on what they may need, or where they struggle, or what they may be good at. So I may recommend an iOS device to someone who wants something simple and doesn't want to play, but if you like challenges and you can handle it, go for a Droid. That's pretty much what I do. Drop it down. So, and I've pretty much been doing it off and on. I used to work for I used to work for a company, but now I'm pretty much just self-contracted. I do, now I'm I do that on the side, but mainly I'm an IT company. I'm an IT person, contracted to a company, so I'm still kind of independent, which is nice because I get to make my own hours. But when there's not a lot of work, or the system is down, or the pay is low, that shit gets frustrating. So, but it's a lot more perks to being independent versus working for the man. So, so what I currently use now, like I said, I shoot my videos all off of an iPod Touch 5th generation that was given to me as a gift. I got it through like a grant for a company. I agreed to do something for them, and in return, they gave me this, plus a Braille display that connects to it via Bluetooth. So I can type in Braille and read in Braille and shit like that. And I'm using the voiceover on that. And I also use the voice assistant and the talkback. I have a J7 Perks with Boost Mobile that I use on a day-to-day basis. I also have a couple other phones that I have a J3 Emerge. I have a regular J3. I do have a Moto E4 somewhere back here. I bought that was given to me as a gift. But yeah, guys, I can rotate between Android and iOS as long as it's accessible. What I'll do is I'll get my hands on it and just test it, and to make sure it is blind friendly. So if I do any product reviews, it's going to be based on the accessibility way. If it is not accessible, that's going to knock off some points. Which is why I'm a big fan of Samsung, because they have taken extra steps to make sure it is accessible. And ZTE, three of the best brands that I've owned were out. Alcatel had some issues. It was Alcatel, ZTE, and Samsung. I really wasn't a big fan of LG, but Alcatel, Samsung, and ZTE, they were pretty good because, and Motorola, because they're pretty much, Samsung does put their their UI, but like I said, they take the steps to make sure that the devices are accessible. But ZTE and ZTE and Alcatel, they pretty much don't. They put a UI on top of what's there, but it's not as bad as some of the other stuff that I've seen. Like LG's UI is very, very heavy, and it's overwhelming. I don't know why LG did that, but they did, and it kind of takes away from the fun of it. So I really don't know. So yeah, so I stick with Samsung pretty much for majority. I probably will my next phone will probably be a Samsung, maybe even a Motorola or an iPhone, depending on the circumstances. I might go for a Motorola because the E4, and I haven't got my hands on the E4 Plus, but the E4 is not a bad phone whatsoever. So it is very accessible because it's pretty much a stock version of Android. It's what Google intended it to be. So I don't like all that heavy bloatware and shit like that. I'm not too advanced when it comes to phones. I don't play games. I do social networking here. I do YouTube, but I'm not into fucking, doing selfies and all this extra shit. I just need to surf the web, check my emails, send some messages, make some calls, just normal shit. I'm not doing any extra shit with my phone. So that's why Flagship is not helpful. Not helpful. It's why Flagship does not really matter to me. If I can get a decent, phone for a decent price that pretty much does the same thing a Flagship would do, then what the fuck? I don't need to, I don't need to go ahead and spend all this extra money if it's not necessary. So, yeah, guys. So, if you watched any of my previous videos, you know how I feel about Flagships. You know how I feel about prepaid versus postpaid. And me personally, I'm just a laid back, down to earth guy. I just, I give my opinion on things. Whether you agree with it or you don't agree with it, that's up to you. But, I try to be honest and as open as possible because, I want people to know what their options are. And I love giving people options and choices when it comes to everything in life, whether it be choosing a carrier or, where we're going to eat at. So I'm pretty open-minded about things, and, I'm not open, I'm not dogging Flagships. I just give people my personal opinion on Flagships and postpaid and shit. What works for me may not work for you. If you can afford all that extra or something that you really, really like, hey, I'm not knocking you at all. Go for it, 100%. I'm with you. Me personally, postpaid and Flagships are way overrated. I don't know why. So, but yeah, I'm just a laid back person. I love to laugh. I love to make people laugh. I like to interact with people. I like people to get to know the real me, and I'm not this stuck up ass boring nerd that you see. And I cuss. You guys are watching the video. I cuss like a fucking sailor. As old folks say, I'm me. But it's just me. It makes up my personality. I know how to keep it professional when it needs to be professional. But we're on YouTube, and we're all humans. We're all grown. If kids are watching, sorry. And if kids are watching, parents, parent your fucking kid. I'm not here to be their daddy or nothing. But I'm not. I just cuss. But we're talking about technology, so yeah. So, but that's me, guys. I'm not. I'm not this old stuck-up guy. I just like to give my opinion on shit. I don't do too many games because with my situation, they have games that are blind friendly, and I do play some of those. But I used to be into video games back then when I had excuse me, when I had the vision and shit, but now I just whatever. Um, so yeah, um, like I said, I did make a video about what some of the stuff I'm gonna get. I just got a coupon for it was like a promotion or something, like 10% off of Google Home Mini. So I might go ahead and do it. Well, the Google Home Mini itself is only $50, and I'm still trying to work with Sprint about this tablet. I'm hoping I get my hands on it. If not, then whatever. I think I might go ahead and get it and play with it within the 14 days, and then after that, I'm probably just gonna return it, honestly. Um, but I do want to see, and who knows? Maybe I might decide that I like it, and I might decide to keep it. You never really know these days. So, but it's $20 for unlimited data with the tablet, and it might come in handy. I don't know. I plan on doing some traveling here, so it might, because me personally, I don't have unlimited data for my cell phone, but I don't really need it because I'm out all the time. So I may just use that tablet heavily with no data, and just and with no Wi-Fi, and see how much data I can consume out of it. So yeah, guys, this has been a rant. I just giving you a history of me and who I am. I hope this has helped. If you got any suggestions or anything you want me to talk about, or you want me to try to get my hands on, leave a comment down below. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, and all that good shit. And I'm really trying to get my views and stuff up, guys. Probably need to go back in and edit some tags. That'll probably help. But for my subscribers, help me get out there, guys. That way I can boost my boost my views and I boost my subscribers, that I can go ahead and then I can be able to go live on mobile versus having to set that shit up with the laptop. So I can go live here, the iPod Touch, and then I can read the comments on my J7 Perks. And I would really, I'll do the best that I can with that, but it shouldn't be any problem. Because I really would like to go live and interact with you, the people that do support me. And, some of you I know you guys probably have a lot of questions about how is the blind man doing this. And I love to, I don't mind talking about it. As long as you're coming at me correctly and you're not being an asshole. But I know that the world's full of assholes, and I got something for you assholes too. You be an asshole to me, I'll be an asshole to you. It's just simple as that. So, so please like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good shit, guys. Suggestions, thumbs up. Feedback is always important. So if you like the content, please share, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later. Have a blessed day and blessed night, whatever you want to call it.